There is a kind of quiet that only exists before the rest of the house wakes up. If you are a mother or a grandmother, you probably know exactly what I mean. The coffee still brewing, the floor cold under your feet, a light on somewhere that nobody turned off last night, and for a few minutes, before anyone else needs anything from you, the morning belongs only to you. I want to start there this morning, not with a formula, not with the same opening you have heard 100 times, just with this, the fact that you are here, in this quiet, choosing to give the first moments of your day to God before the rest of it begins. That matters. It matters more than you probably know. Psalm 59, verse 16 says, I will sing of your strength. In the morning I will sing of your love, for you are my fortress, my refuge in times of trouble. I have been sitting with that verse lately. Not the singing part, though that too, but the in the morning part. There is something intentional about the order. Strength and love, acknowledged first, before the trouble of the day has had its say. So let us begin here, before anything else. Father, good morning. I come to you in the middle of this quiet that will not last very long. You know what is waiting on the other side of it. The messages I have not answered. The appointment I am dreading. The worry that went to sleep with me last night and woke up before I did. You already know all of that. And still, you gave me this morning. Still, you let the sun come up over my life. That is what I want to start with this morning. Not a long list of what I need. Just this, thank you. Thank you for another day that I did not earn and could not have arranged for myself. Thank you that your mercy, as Lamentations promises, is genuinely new this morning. Not a leftover from yesterday, but something fresh, prepared for exactly what today holds. I receive this day as a gift, all of it. The parts I'm looking forward to and the parts I am already bracing for. I want to say something here before we go further, because I think some of you need to hear it. I know what the last few months have looked like. I know because you write to me, and I read every single comment, every prayer request, every message that comes in. And what I keep seeing is this, a generation of women who have spent their entire lives caring for other people, and who are now carrying a kind of tiredness that is hard to name. It is not just physical. It is the tiredness of loving people whose lives you cannot fix, of watching a child you raised make choices you would not make for them, of sitting in a waiting room with news you are not ready to hear, of doing the math on fixed income against rising costs and wondering how long it holds. If that is where you woke up this morning, I want you to know this prayer is for exactly that. Not for the version of your life that looks good from the outside. For the actual one, let us keep going. Father, I want to thank you specifically for this body this morning. Not the one I wish I had, the one I actually woke up in. I think of a woman who wrote to me a few months ago. She said she was 63 years old, recently diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And she told me that she used to think gratitude for her health was something she would practice when her health improved. And then the diagnosis came. And she said she started thanking God for what her hands could still do. Button a shirt, hold a grandchild, press palms together in prayer, because she had learned the hard way that those things are not guaranteed. She said she wasted years waiting to be grateful until she felt better. and now she is grateful because she finally understands what better was. Lord, I do not want to wait until something is taken to recognize it as a gift. So this morning I thank you for these hands, these eyes, this mind that can form a prayer and remember the faces of the people I love, for every part of this body that showed up for another day, even if it aches while it does it. You are the God who made this body. You know every part of it, including the parts I am worried about, the test result I am waiting on, the pain I have been quietly managing without telling anyone how much it has changed my daily life. I bring all of that to you right now, not asking you to perform a miracle on a timeline I have decided, asking you to be present in exactly the condition I am in. And I thank you for my family. Father, especially the complicated parts of it. There is a specific kind of love that belongs to mothers of adult children. It is different from the love when they were small and needed you for everything. This love has to stretch further. It has to survive disagreements. It has to hold on to someone who is not holding your hand anymore, who might not be calling as often as you wish, who is making decisions you cannot control and sometimes cannot understand. Lord, for the mothers this morning whose children are grown and whose worry has not grown any smaller with the distance, I pray for that specific love, the love that keeps praying even when the prayers feel like they are going unanswered, the love that lets go in the morning and picks the worry back up by noon and has to lay it down again at night. Give those mothers something today, not necessarily a resolution, but a moment of peace that is genuine rather than forced. The kind that comes from trusting you with someone who matters more to them than their own life. I want to speak to a specific situation that I know many of you are living. Your child is not a child anymore. They are 35, or 45, or somewhere in between. And you still pray for them with the same urgency you did when they were young, maybe more. Because when they were young, you could physically keep them safe. Now you cannot. Now you can only pray, and call, and leave the door open, and hope that something you planted a long time ago is still growing somewhere they cannot see it yet. That particular love, the love of a mother for an adult child she is afraid for, it does not have a lot of songs written about it. It is not the tender, baby picture kind of love that people put on greeting cards. It is something harder and quieter and more costly, and I believe it matters to God just as much as any other kind of prayer ever prayed in any church anywhere. Lord, hear those prayers today, the ones said out loud and the ones said in the mind late at night when there is no one to hear them. Hear every mother who is holding someone at a distance in the palms of her hands and saying, I trust you with this person I love more than I can say. Father, I also thank you for the provision you have continued to bring, even when it came in forms I would not have chosen. For the women listening who are managing money carefully right now, watching what they spend, recalculating, wondering how long the retirement savings actually lasts against the reality of what things cost. I want to say, God sees that spreadsheet. He sees the math you are doing at the kitchen table late at night when no one else is awake. He sees the things you have quietly stopped buying so that something else could be covered. That sacrifice is not invisible, and His provision has never once run out. Even in the seasons when you were certain it was about to. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalm 23, verse 1. I know that verse so well I sometimes read past it without letting it land. But this morning I want to sit with one word, want. Not just in the sense of desire, in the older sense, the sense of lacking. The Lord is my shepherd. I will not lack what I genuinely need. That is not a promise that every wish is granted. It is a promise that the one who is tending your life has not overlooked you. I want to say something honest here. From my own experience, there have been seasons of my life where financial provision felt very close to the bone, where I was watching numbers carefully and praying over things that felt almost too small to bring to God. And what I found, consistently, in ways that I could not always explain afterward, was that what I actually needed was always there. Not always early, not always comfortable, but there. I am not promising you that if you pray hard enough, the bills will be covered without effort. I am telling you what I have seen, that the shepherd does not abandon the flock when the pasture gets thin. He finds another pasture, or he provides in the one you are in, or he does something you would not have expected that you would not have seen coming if you had not been watching. Father, for every woman this morning who woke up with a number in her head, the bill, the balance, the calculation that does not quite work, I pray that she would feel your specific attention to her specific situation, not vague comfort. Specific. You know the number. You know what is coming. You have not stopped shepherding this life. Here is something I have noticed. The gratitude is easier in the first quiet minutes. The hard part is carrying it past 9 o'clock. By the time the messages have come in, the news is on. The phone has rung twice with things that need attending to. The peace of the morning can feel like something that happened a long time ago, like a room you walked out of and cannot quite find your way back to. I want to name that, because I think the way we usually talk about morning prayer can accidentally set people up for a kind of guilt they do not deserve, as if the point of starting your day with God is that you then have an effortlessly peaceful day. That is not how it works. The point is not to be unmoved by the day. The point is to have a place to return to when the day moves you more than you expected. Father, I am bringing the mid-morning to you now, before it gets here, so that when it does, I am not starting from scratch. Lord, help me when the frustration comes, not frustration in the dramatic sense, but the ordinary, accumulating kind, the kind that builds up over small things that individually are manageable and collectively become a weight, the tone of voice that was sharper than it needed to be, the plan that fell apart before it started, the feeling that I am behind in a race I did not sign up for. When that frustration arrives today, would you remind me, not with a lecture, but with something quiet, that you are still in this moment with me, that the smallness of this frustration does not disqualify it from your attention. I think we often separate our prayers into two categories, the important ones, about health and family and provision, and the small, ordinary ones about patience and peace and the quality of a given Tuesday afternoon, as if the important prayers get first-class treatment and the small ones are handled by a different department. But I have come to believe that God is just as present in the small moment as in the large one, that the prayer for patience in a traffic jam is heard with the same attentiveness as the prayer said in a hospital room. Because what matters to me, even the small things, matters to the God who knows how many hairs are on my head. That is not an abstract promise about my significance. It is a specific promise about how closely He is paying attention. So, Lord, I bring you the small things too today. The conversation I am dreading because I am not sure how it will go. The errand that I keep postponing because it will require me to do something I find emotionally harder than it should be. The part of my day that has already been in the back of my mind since before I woke up. I bring these things to you the way I would bring them to a friend who genuinely wanted to know what was going on with me. because that is what you are. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 18 says, "To give thanks in all circumstances." I have spent a long time thinking that meant I should feel grateful in all circumstances, which is impossible and is not what it says. It says give thanks. An action, not a feeling, a choice made even when the feeling has not cooperated. Lord, when the circumstances today are not ones I would have chosen, help me make that choice. Not because I am not allowed to feel the difficulty, but because gratitude is the posture that keeps me connected to the one who is walking through the difficulty with me. Father, I want to pray specifically right now for the mothers and grandmothers listening who are doing something incredibly hard, loving someone through an addiction or a mental health crisis or a slow decline they did not expect this early. For the women whose daily life includes managing someone else's suffering alongside their own, who have become experts in things they never wanted to know, who have had to make phone calls they never imagined making, who love someone with a fierceness that sometimes takes their own breath away with how much it costs. Lord, today I ask you to be specifically near those women, not with answers necessarily, because they have been asking for answers and the answers have not yet resolved everything, but with presence, the kind of presence that does not require you to have it together in order to be held. I want to say something I believe with everything I have, the love it takes to keep showing up for someone who is struggling, that love does not go unnoticed by God. It is not wasted. It is not just suffering to be endured. It is something. It is doing something in the person who gives it and in the person who receives it, even when neither one can see clearly enough to know what. You are not wasting your life by loving that person. I believe that. Here is a truth I have come to about gratitude that I did not expect. For most of my life, I thought gratitude was about what God had done, the answered prayer, the provision that came through, the season that finally ended, and those things are worth thanking God for, deeply. But I have been learning something slower and harder, which is that gratitude might actually be more about who God is than about what He has done, because what He has done changes from season to season. Sometimes He heals, sometimes He does not in the way you asked. Sometimes the door opens, sometimes it does not yet. Sometimes the person you love comes back to themselves. Sometimes they are still in the middle of the long way back. But who God is does not change with the season. He is faithful whether or not the outcome confirmed it. He is good whether or not the circumstance proved it. He is present whether or not I felt it. And I think that is actually a more durable gratitude than the gratitude that depends on circumstances cooperating. That kind of gratitude is real, but it is fragile. The gratitude rooted in who God is. That is the kind that can survive the afternoons when nothing has gone wrong exactly. But nothing feels like blessing either. Just ordinary. Just another day. Lord, thank you for the ordinary afternoons, for the hours that will not be notable, for the quiet that is not peace exactly, but is simply the absence of crisis, which is its own form of grace. I have a different relationship with ordinary days than I used to. When I was younger, I was always waiting for the next significant thing. The ordinary day was the space between the moments that mattered. And then, something shifted in me. Gradually, over years. And I began to recognize that the ordinary day is not the pause between meaningful things. It is the meaningful thing. It is where most of life actually happens. The conversation over coffee, The errand that took longer than planned but put you in the path of someone who needed a kind word. The meal prepared and eaten. The evening that closes quietly without drama. These are not the background of a life. They are the life. Father, let me not walk through today, looking past what is actually in front of me. Let me be here, present to this ordinary day that will not come back again in this exact form. Thank you for the people I will talk to today, who will not know they needed the conversation until we were in it. For the small moments of recognition, someone who sees me and says so, for the work of my hands today, whatever form it takes, for the ability to be useful to someone, even in a small way. And Father, for the things I am still waiting for, the prayer that has been on my lips for longer than I expected to be praying it, the situation that is still unresolved, the relationship that is still not what I hoped it would be by now. I bring those things to you this afternoon, the unfinished things, and I choose to trust you with the timeline, not easily, not without the occasional grief that comes from hope deferred, but I choose it anyway, because I have watched you work over enough years to believe that what you have not yet done is not the same as what you are not doing. I want to end where I always want to end, with something true rather than just something hopeful, because hope is important, but truth is what it stands on. And the truth this morning is this: you woke up, which means God decided your story was still going, that He still has purpose for the hours He is giving you today. That is not a small thing to be politely acknowledged. It is an extraordinary act of grace extended to an ordinary morning by a God who does not have to be this attentive and apparently cannot help it. I want to close this morning with something I wrote in my journal not long ago. 4 lines that came out of a season when the gratitude was genuinely hard to locate, and I had to find it by naming the most basic things I still had. The coffee was warm. The light came through. Someone I love is still breathing too. The God who made the morning stayed. I'll thank Him for this ordinary day. Father, receive this morning from me, imperfect and honest and more grateful than I could have been on my own. I go into this day not because I have it figured out, but because you do, and because you have been faithful through every previous day that felt this uncertain, which makes me believe you will be faithful through this one too. For everyone who prayed along this morning, for the grandmother who is carrying more than anyone around her realizes, for the mother whose child broke her heart last week and who chose to come here anyway, for the woman managing a diagnosis in one hand and everyone else's needs in the other. This prayer is yours too. You came. That matters. I want to leave you with one more thing. There is a kind of gratitude I have been trying to grow in myself that I think is worth naming. It is not the gratitude for answered prayer, though that is real and worth cultivating. It is the gratitude for the ordinary, persistent presence of God in a life. The kind that does not announce itself with miracles but simply continues, day after day, holding what needs holding, keeping what needs keeping, working slowly in what still needs work. That kind of gratitude requires a longer view. You have to be willing to look back over enough years to see the pattern. But when you do, when you trace the thread of God's faithfulness across decades of your life, it becomes harder to face a new day with despair, because you have evidence, specific, personal, undeniable evidence that the God who was faithful before is still faithful now. You have that evidence. I know you do, because you are still here. I sign this morning off the only way I know how to end something I actually mean, with the name that holds every prayer I have ever prayed and every answer I have ever received. In the name of Jesus Christ. who holds this morning and every morning after it. Amen. Before you put the phone down and walk into the rest of your day, one thing: if there was a moment in this prayer that landed somewhere real for you, a sentence that named something you have been carrying without having words for it, I want to hear about it. Come to the comments and tell me what it was. Not to perform faith, just to say, "This found me today." And if you feel moved to type amen, type it. Not as a reflex, but as your personal yes to what we just brought before God together. Your comment will be the first thing someone else reads when they come here tomorrow morning, wondering if they are the only one who woke up this heavy. You are not, and neither are they. Subscribe to Grace Father and turn on the bell, so that tomorrow morning, before anything else gets to you first, this is already waiting. And bring someone with you. Forward this to one person who woke up this morning needing to be reminded that God is still in their story. You do not need the right words to go with it. Just send it. That is enough. God bless this day for you. Every hour of it. The beautiful parts and the hard ones. The moments you will remember and the ones you will not. All of it. Held by the same God who made the morning and decided to put you in it.